تذكر يوما كنت تعانق دمعة الفكر، تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري، فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير، تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله قولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إن أصدق الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدي هدي نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وخير الأمور أوادمها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most kind, the most gracious, declare there is no God but Allah, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his final messenger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often repeats in the Quran about how he sent down, or he's given us two things, two very important things, which in the Quran is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to Islamic Kitab wal Hikmah, and also a third thing which sometimes he mentions, wa maw'idatul hasana, a great example or a great model, so to speak. And as we know, over the years, the scholars have clearly said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the Kitab as being the Quran, his word, his book, and in the Hikmah is the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And the example of Maw'idah Hasana is his example. And we know often, we heard so many times about how the Prophet ﷺ is described by his wife Aisha radiallahu anha, and that he was a walking Quran. If you wanted to see a Quran manifested in a person, then you look to the Prophet ﷺ for that example to be seen. And that thing about hikmah, that thing about wisdom is very important as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses that word over and over again in the Quran. He himself is given that name, Al-Hakim. That's one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names. And that he is all-wise. What is wisdom? Wisdom is to know and say or do something at the right time in the right place that will benefit other people as well. Putting the thing in its right place. That's what hikmah is. That's what it's all about. Not saying things at the wrong time. Not saying things that we shouldn't have to say. Not saying or doing things that would offend others or hurt other people. Where's the hikmah in that? Anyone with common sense would know that that's not wisdom. That's not applying wisdom, at least. But certainly here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, he describes the sunnah as being hikmah. Why? Because what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, what he said, and what he approved of, as we know, this is the sunnah that his qawl, his amal, his taqreer, all these kind of things that the Prophet ﷺ did, these are all of wisdom. These are all things that the Prophet ﷺ did at the right time, at the right place, without a shadow of a doubt. Yes, there were times when the Prophet ﷺ could have done something better. For example, as we know in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet ﷺ that when that blind man came to you for help, you turned away. And when you turned away, you turned to the people who you thought, and there's nothing wrong with that, and what the Prophet thought, that these people are the nobles of Quraysh, let me speak to them because they're powerful people, they're very important people, these are the people I need to speak to. Whereas there was a poor old blind man who was willing to accept the message of the Prophet, or the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and accept Islam, and the Prophet looked away from him to deal with these people. But however, within that is a hikmah for us that we learn from that we start with the people who want the deen, these people who want the religion. Those people we should be, if someone asks us of the deen, we should give it to them. We shouldn't start hunting and finding people that might not have any interest in the deen. That in itself is another thing. But however, as I've said, going back to the hikmah, the entire sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is that. And you can't take that away from the Quran. You can't say that I'm going to stay with the Quran, the Kitabullah, and leave the hikmah behind that. I don't need that. Unfortunately, a lot of disagreements in Islam, a lot of disagreements within our religion come not mainly from the Sunnah. It's mainly from the verses of Quran and how people interpret them. People go away, the verse of Quran sometimes is, as we know, mutashabihat has that somewhat levy in it, but that, you know, we can interpret in certain ways. But look at the people who are interpreting the Quran. People who have no knowledge. People who have no knowledge of Arabic language, of Nahu or Balagha or any of these sciences of knowledge, no understanding of it whatsoever. In fact, we've got young people, as one of the great scholars he said we've got young people today who open up Qurans like, you know, no disrespect to the translators of Quran, like Sayyid Yusuf Ali and Sayyid Mohsin Khan. These are important for us, and I read these translations. But I'm in no position to read a translation and start saying this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means, and this is the interpretation, this is how we should translate it, or this is how we should interpret it. I'm taking from a language to another interpretation, which is far from acceptable. The scholars of tafsir, if you look at them, who are they? They're linguistics. They're the scholars of language before the scholars of tafsir. Why? Because that's the essence of the Quran. And as I said, that's where the disagreement a lot of times happens, where people start interpreting the way they want to interpret things, and that's very, very dangerous. And we can see where it's got to nowadays, where people interpret it as if it's like, you know, no problem to that. That is a serious issue in our communities. That is a serious, serious issue. We're not in place of that. And even to that, as it said, this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, again, likewise, we read translations in our languages to English, to French or German or whatever other language, a second language, a secondary language to the Arabic. We don't know what really the Prophet ﷺ said, what it means, the value of the words. Was it, how strong is the negation, or how was it not negated? You know, there's so many things. And on top of that, the reason why that particular hadith came down, one of the very famous scholars of the Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, he came one time to Imam Bukhari and says, I give up. He memorized over 500,000 hadiths, and he says, I give up. The more hadith I do, the more confused I get. That's a scholar of Islam saying that. We learn 3, 4, 5, a bunch of hadith, and all of a sudden we know everything. We know everything. And another scholar, Muhammad Ghazali, who was not the old Muhammad Ghazali, but the recent one in Egypt, who passed away a few years ago, mentioned in one of his books, today the youth are such that what happens, they buy a book on Islam, they read it on the Monday, they finish it by the Wednesday, and by Jummah, they're scholars. That's the time we're living in. That's the time, and that's frightening. That is really, really frightening. When we have scholars who spend 30, 40, 50, 60 years of their life studying the Quran, studying the Hadith, even at that level they can abstain from questions. When Imam Malik, the only time he left Medina, Imam Malik did not want to leave Medina, rahimahullah. He did not want to leave the Prophet ﷺ city. He did not leave it. But people from another time were saying, you need to come. You're Imam Malik, we need your help. You need to come to our city, you need to come to our town. So he went to this town, and when he got there, people, obviously were so happy that Imam Malik accepted their invitation, and he's there, and he's in the presence of all the people there. And people said, this is our opportunity to ask us questions, those questions that we can't answer about our deen. When he started asking questions, what did Imam Malik say? Allahu A'lam. Another question, Allahu A'lam. Another question, Allahu A'lam. Another question, Allahu A'lam. It says the answer to maybe less than a third of the questions that people asked that day. People turned around and say, who's this? This is not Imam Malik. He's not answered any. He's not answered a bunch of our questions. He's not answered, all our questions. If that was anyone else, you'd get 101 plus more questions and more answers. But that's Imam Malik, rahimahullah. He just said, I don't know. If anybody was to know, It would have been Imam Malik rahimahullah. It would have been that man who knew the answers to those questions. But each time he did, he says, Allahu a'alam. I don't know. I don't know. Allah knows best. And that's a habit I should have, we should all have. There's no shame in that. That if we don't know the answer to something, we accept it, Allahu a'alam. But we get people, unfortunately, who try to interpret or who try to answer questions. You know, if you don't know the answer, simply be quiet, to put it nicely. Don't say anything. You know, as the hadith says, whoever believes in Allah and the Day of Judgment, فَلْيَسْكُتْ. Say, remain quiet, say something good. Allahu A'lam is a nice phrase, short, sweet. Alhamdulillah, there is no denying. Allah knows best. Wa akhir adana walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. In the name of Allah, the most kind, the most gracious. And as we said, with this idea of hikmah or wisdom is very important, and how we apply it and how we understand it in our day-to-day lives as well. And as I said, the phrase وَمَوْعِظَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ is that example that we should look at. And as we know, the perfect example is that of the Prophet ﷺ that we should look to. And when we look to it, as in the sense that we don't just read it in words, we don't just read it in terms of I know the seerah, or know what the Prophet happened here or there. It's taking it a step further. It's taking that wee bit more to go, like, I know that this, if I do what this, or try to follow this example, you know, as well as being a reward, as well as being something that you will benefit from it, it's following that example of the Prophet ﷺ, which is increasing love towards the Prophet, peace be upon him. And as we know in a narration, not a very strong one, but however a very important one, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, teach your children three qualities. Three qualities teach your children. And I teach myself these qualities before I teach my own daughters. And that is love of the Prophet ﷺ, love of his family, and the Qur'an of the Quran. These are the three things we should instill in our children, but at the same time instilling in ourselves. Because going back to the idea of hikmah, as I said, it comes from the Prophet ﷺ. The Quran is a book, undoubtedly the most authentic, the most honoured book in the world for us Muslims. But what makes it glow is the Prophet ﷺ, that example. The Quran tells us to pray. If we left it to that, how would anyone pray? We'd be praying in all sorts of ways and styles and different things. But however, the Prophet ﷺ has showed us how we do it. Pay zakat or inheritance, for example, the Quran has told us in detail, but the Prophet again tells us more. In zakat, in all the pillars, in all aspects of Islam, the Prophet ﷺ has shown that example. He's been the beacon to that example of how it's been interpreted in the Quran and how we should understand it. Yes, I'm not saying there's difference of opinion, there is difference of opinion, and that has happened over time, over many, many years. And we accept that, and we should understand that there is difference of opinion within the deen. And we will always have that difference of opinion. And that Islam is wide, it's a very big religion, it's not a small religion. But however, for us, as the Prophet ﷺ said, be moderate, be in the middle, be in the middle. Upstate will be in that middle way, that's the best way to be. Not in one extreme or the other, but be in that middle way. What is that middle way? As I said, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that when I leave, there will be two things that will remain behind. And that is the Quran and my Sunnah. And whoever holds on to them will be saved from the fire. So for us, as I said, is to understand the Quran and Sunnah. But again, not our own interpretation, scholarly interpretation, get it through the right means and the right ways. Not just going to Sheikh Google or a database on Hadith or Quran or whatever else. That's not going to help. That's not going to help. Follow the examples of the scholars that we have today. Read the stories of the scholars that we have in the past. And ultimately the seal of the Prophet ﷺ is that guiding beacon that we can inshallah hold on to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكون من الخاسرين. اللهم إنا نسألك ما سألك منك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة.
تذكر يوما كنت تعانق دمعة الفكر، تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري، فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير، تحلق في ثقافات وتنهى